Welcome to video 3, which is on macronutrients and balancing blood sugars. Before we start into the content of this video, obviously what we're going to do first and foremost is have a little bit of a review of video 2, which was on movement that matters. So we're going to do that first and then get into it. So you should be coming up to finishing your cleanse, and what that means is that you'll be going from your 5 capsules 3 times a day of your healthy starter pack and moving on to your Bifidobacillus, your probiotic. So this probiotic is obviously going to provide billions of beneficial intestinal microorganisms, which is going to just give you a bucket load of health benefits, including boosting your digestive health. So it's really, really important that your digestive health is as good as it can be, because you want to, it's not just about the food that's on your plate, it's how you digest and assimilate that food, because the food you eat is what obviously makes you, and we want you to be as healthy as possible in order to shift fat. So this is an important stage right now. So you kind of cleanse the system. I would highly recommend that you continue with your liquid chlorophyll, not just until the end of the bottle, but I would continue for life, just because of its amazing benefits in terms of improving your energy levels, improving your vitality, and the whole family can take it as well. And it's it's a relatively small cost, and it's just got so many benefits. I'd highly recommend that you continue to take that throughout. So moving on then, we looked at the on my hierarchy is mindset. So if the body is there but the mind isn't willing, then you're really not going to achieve anything at all. So one of my key things is that I want you to work on your goal setting. I want you to have a really good vision of what it is you're trying to achieve and why, and how your life is going to improve when you make these changes. Because there are going to be a few saboteurs along the way. There are going to be some difficult times to stick to your program, and we want to get through those times, because what we've got to do is get to 4 weeks. 28 days is how long it takes for those habits to kind of stick with you, and you'll find that you will have a completely different mindset by the end of the 28 days if you can continue on your journey as you've started out. Obviously we looked at the importance of balancing your hormones, which is driven by correct nutrition. So we're going to be looking at that in a little bit more detail today, but obviously it's all about hormone balancing. If you haven't got full hormonal balance or balance of your endocrine system, then you're really going to struggle to get the weight loss results that you want long term. We then looked at 6 different types of training, which I've put in an order of kind of importance for shifting weight. So your metabolic resistance training is kind of what you're doing with your DVD. It's body weight. You're doing a body weight training, but it doesn't have to be. You can use other tools like kettlebells, vipers, power bags, those sort of things if you do go to a gym and you want to get involved with more MRT training. And we also mentioned high intensity interval training, both with and without oxygen, for its benefits for shifting weight pretty quick. So what I'd like to just quickly recap then is metabolic conditioning, why it's so good for fat loss. If you remember, what we talked about was that aerobic training kind of takes longer to burn through your glycogen stores, and then within an hour you'll be back down to your basal metabolic rate. So that's how many calories your body burns to stay alive. If we start doing interval training, we burn through our glycogen stores much quickly, and if we do interval training with weights, we get a really good metabolic afterburn effect and DOMS as well. So you can be burning calories for up to a couple of days after your training session, which is fantastic. The importance of strength training within your weight loss program, what we mentioned this to is the power of the muscle and the fact that you burn more calories just by having a little bit more lean tissue on your body. So strength training becomes important. So your DVD is all body weight training. You will be building your strength, we will be building lean tissue, therefore you're going to drop inches very quickly. So we want to keep hold of your lean tissue and we want to make you a fat burning furnace. That's the whole idea of this program. So we're not turning you into Arnold Schwarzenegger. What we're doing is while you're losing weight, you're just keeping hold of your lean tissue, which means therefore that you burn more fat. Okay, muscle is the only tissue that will burn fat for fuel, and you'll see noticeable differences with your inches. And I want you to think about measuring yourself and checking your fat percentage out as opposed to looking at total weight on the scales, because total weight will fluctuate, your body fat and your inches will come down. Excellent. So I want to just have a little look at HIIT training, which we may be ready to add into your program a little bit. Now, this can either be done straight after your body weight circuit, because your body weight circuit is about 24 minutes long. So you'll do a warm up, do your 24 minutes, and then do your HIIT training straight after, which might be 10 to 20 minutes tops. Probably 10 minutes is quite a good time to be thinking about after your body weight training, and then build that up over the next couple of weeks. Now, another method is to do it in the afternoon or in the evening. So what you would do is you would do your body weight training in the morning, and then in the afternoon or the evening do your HIIT training. And this kind of gives you a double metabolic effect. And we found that it gives our clients amazing results. Now what you have to do in this case is, if you're doing the HIIT training on its own, you have to remember to do sufficient warm-up, go into your HIIT training, and then do a sufficient cool down and stretch out. Okay, if you need any more help with this, then I will direct you to some really good stretching and some warm-up and cool down routines, which we will get onto our website. But basically, I've put a few options here for you. The idea is that you could either run outside, or if you're running on a treadmill, then put it at 1.5% incline. If you don't run, then the rower is a fantastic tool for interval training. If you don't row, then cycling is fine as well. But if you think about cycling, it's mainly just using your lower body. If you do store weight, or if we are a little bit estrogen dominant and store weight around our bum and thighs, it's not the great thing, the best exercise you can do to lose weight from that area. Also, you want to think about the fact that we spend too much time sat on our backsides. Okay, we're in cars, we're sat at our desk jobs. I don't particularly want you to then go and sit on a bike for 20 minutes, because all you're doing is shortening all your fascia, tightening everything up. And what we want to do is really get you nice and open, and get your body moving how it should. So here's a couple of options then. You've got your work to rest ratio of 1 to 1, so you're going to run hard for 30 seconds, walk for 30 seconds, and then you just repeat that 12 to 15 times. You could do a work to rest ratio of 1 to 2, and either sprint for 30 with walking for 60, or sprint for 20 and rest for 40. So rather than walking, you actually will do nothing. You'll just be motionless for 40 seconds and then repeat that sort of 15 to 20 times. So there's some good examples of some HIIT training. Whack them into your program, and let me know how you get on. So we're going to look at macronutrients and balancing blood sugars today. Basically, an ancient Greek physician, he said that let food be your medicine and medicine be your food. Okay, and understanding the science of food is crucial to weight loss and general health. Macronutrients, as we know, kind of provide all the energy that we will use and we use it as fuel. So we've got basically carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. These are our three macronutrients that provide us with the energy via food, so that we can stay alive. Okay, and we use that fuel for energy and function. Now, the one macronutrient that we're going to look at in a lot of detail is carbohydrates, because when we're talking about balancing blood sugars, this is the main culprit for raising our blood sugar levels, basically for spiking and troughing our blood sugar levels. So this is the one we're going to spend a lot of time on today, and explore this in a little bit more detail. So basically what we have here, one form of carbohydrate which is called a monosaccharide. Now, monosaccharide just basically means a single chain sugar. Okay, mono means one, and saccharide means sugar. And what you want to remember, what you want to kind of take from this is that glucose, okay, is what all food is broken down into. So glucose is what all food is broken down into, and that's what we use as our energy. Okay, now this glucose is stored in the liver or the muscle. So kind of think about them as our fuel tanks, if you like. So we put fuel into our petrol tank in the car to make it drive, and we store glucose in our muscles and liver in order to give us the energy to perform. And when those two sites are full, what the body will do is it will then convert the rest to fat. And so a lot of people who are overweight, it is mainly due to excess sugar. And that is why understanding macronutrients and understanding the balance in blood sugars is so important to this first stage of our weight loss journey. Because macronutrients are the key to balancing our blood sugars, and balancing blood sugars is one of the key principles to our weight loss program. So this is really, really key to what we're trying to achieve. So moving on to galactose. Now, galactose is really not easily digestible for everyone. Okay, that's one of the reasons we've taken milk out of our diet program. Moving on to disaccharides. Now these are just two molecules. Okay, so rather than mono meaning one, we've got di, which is two. Now, looking at lactose there, lactose is milk sugar. Okay, and you may have heard the term lactose intolerant. So this is when people don't have the digestive enzyme lactase, which makes dairy a no-go for many people. Okay. Maltose is a good one to take note of. Now, maltose is actually two glucose molecules. So if you think of glucose as being our primary sugar, which has a glycemic index of 100, so it's the top one, that's what all foods are measured against. Maltose is 110. So this is really fast releasing sugar and affects our blood sugar levels and obviously then our fat storage. So it's so fast releasing that our body can't cope with it, and it often gets stored as fat, and often gets stored as fat around the belly, hence the beer belly, because maltose is in beer. Okay, so we've got starchy carbs. Now, starchy carbs are what we have taken or removed from our diet in this 28 day program, and basically starch is a storage from carbohydrate plants which exist in two forms, amylase and amylopectin. Okay, this type of carbohydrate, it really affects blood sugars, so it has a really high GI. Fibre, on the other hand, it's really not digested by human stomach, and so it doesn't affect blood sugar levels at all. And this is one of the reasons why we've asked you to eat plenty of fruit and vegetables on the diet and take out and remove all your starchy carbs. So we've actually got carbohydrate that's providing us energy but is not affecting our blood sugar, which obviously is going to improve your weight loss goals. Now this is the government food pyramid, and this is, you've probably seen this before, it's been around for decades. And my problem with this is, if it worked, we wouldn't be in the state we are now with a quarter of the population being obese. Okay, so for me the problem is that you've got the starchy carbs at the bottom here making up, you know, the majority of our daily servings, and as I've just said, starchy carbs in this form has generally got such a high GI that it spikes our blood sugar, whereas what we should be doing is having much more of the vegetables and fruits. They should be forming our carbohydrate base because they're fibrous and so they won't boost our blood sugar. Okay, so really we could do with turning this upside down, eating tons and tons of fruit and veg, making sure we eat much more oil than using sparingly because we want to up our fats, which we'll get into a bit more detail later, and also we want to be eating more protein and removing the dairy. So this really could do with a complete rework. Maybe I'll do it and send it off to the government and see if they post it out. But you know, you never know. Okay, so looking at the things that looking at the problems with the general population in terms of what we eat, and we're eating kind of about an average 70 to 80% of our diet is coming from carbohydrate, and you know, of that 80% of most people's diets are refined and processed foods. So not just carbohydrate, but actually refined and processed carbohydrate. So these are obviously depleted foods, okay? They're undesirable ingredients. They don't actually give you any nutritional nutrients at all. And what this program is about is obviously reclaiming our health and the health of our loved ones. And so I want you to really understand, you know, what foods you should be eating and how they work for us, and then kind of avoid those foods that really work against our body and are causing us ill health. That's the primary sort of object of my whole program. Yes, you are going to get sufficient weight loss with it, but for me it's all about boosting your health from a cellular level and the nutrition that you eat to kind of boost your health and give you longevity of life and a happy life. Okay, so that's what we're all about. Now, just a few examples here of these. We've got the refined and processed foods. Now, these obviously include your kind of cakes and your biscuits and, you know, your hot dogs, your crisps. All those are processed carbohydrate, refined rubbish. Okay, you want to get rid of all of that stuff. I mean, you know, I'm not saying that you can never eat this stuff, because obviously once you get to the weight you want and when you're nice and healthy, you know, you can throw this stuff in it on occasions if you want to enjoy it, and you know, you probably enjoy it. But what you want to do is stop having this as your primary or your majority of your food sources. Now, when you do eat more healthy, what you'll find is that a little bit of this will serve you well, like a little bit of a taste now and again, you'll be satisfied. Whereas if you eat it all the time, you're just never satisfied, you're always hungry, you're always having cravings, and we'll be talking about the reasons why in a little while. Okay, one of the major reasons that we have health issues and body weight issues today is that we start our diets with a huge sugary, carbohydrate loaded breakfast. Okay, now it doesn't mean that you apply your cereals with sugar, okay, but your cereals actually have tons and tons of hidden sugar in them. Cornflakes, for example, have a higher GI than crunchy nut cornflakes. Okay, it's hard. I know that's probably hard to comprehend, but plain cornflakes have a GI of nearly 100. It's about 97, and you know, when you're talking about glucose being 100, then that's incredible. I mean, crunchy nut cornflakes are still higher; they're in the 80s, but cornflakes on their own, plain cornflakes, that's before you've even put sugar on. So if you're having cornflakes with sugar, man, you're taking that way, way up. So this is the problem with us, is that we have we're starting the day incorrectly. We need to be starting it with more of a protein-based meal, and what you'll find with your breakfast is that you're having yogurts or eggs or fish, and all of that obviously is protein-based. Okay. So this will stop us feeling fatigued and feeling bloated. Obviously it's going to help reduce weight gain and all the problems associated with high sugar, high blood sugar, including diabetes, etc. So I want to talk to you a little bit more about glycemic index. Now I've mentioned it a couple of times already, but I want to tell you a little bit more about it. You've probably heard it already, but you may not have heard of glycemic load, and this is a relatively new term, and both of these things are key to your understanding about sugar. Okay, balancing your blood sugars. So here we go. Yeah, so cornflakes, look, you can see it there, is 92. So it's very, very high. Crunchy nut cornflakes, oh, I beg your pardon, it was 72, not in the 80s. So, you know, it's significantly higher. I mean, it's got a GI of 20 more than the crunchy nut cornflakes, which is quite staggering, really. So, you know, the list there just shows you of what their GI is, and it's, as I said to you before, it's comparable to glucose, which is 100. Okay, so most fruit and veggies will have a lower GI than breads and pastas, etc. There are some with higher GI than others, and there are with those fruits we need to be aware of. But you know, how you lower GI, which we're going to be talking about, is basically by adding fibre and protein. And because this program is all about you balancing each meal, you actually lower the GI of the foods that you eat. Yeah, so it's basically the speed, this is basically the speed of which sugar goes into your system. Okay, and load, so glycemic load, is the amount. Okay, as I said, it's a relatively new term. So if GI is speed and GL is amount. So if we kind of consider, I think what we should do is just give you a little bit of an idea of what that means. If we consider two vehicles, okay, so they're both going at 50 miles an hour, so their GI is 50, and one is an articulated lorry and the other one is a Mini. Okay, so what happens if they have a crash at this speed of 50 miles an hour? The impact will obviously be completely different. Okay, so the impact of a Mini at 50 miles an hour will be completely different to an articulated lorry at 50 miles an hour, and so that's why GI and GL, that's their significance. Okay, so what you're trying to do is you want them both low. A carrot, for instance, that's got high GI because it will actually get into your bloodstream quite quickly, but it has a very low load. Alright, and carrots you wouldn't really generally eat on their own, you'd always have them with something else anyway, protein based. For a potato, for instance, has a high GI, okay, of about 85, and then it has a high GL, so it has a high glycemic load as well. So not only is it fast, it's loaded, so it causes quite a big difference. So protein and fibre will lower the glycemic index. Yeah, and so this is one of the reasons, well, this is the main reason why we are adding proteins and fats and carbs all together with every single meal that you have. So, you know, I often get people saying, well, I eat a really healthy diet, so I don't know why I'm not losing weight. And then when you look, they're actually eating a lot of fruit, and a lot of fruit on its own. So they're actually tormenting their blood sugar balance, and it's often why they're carrying a bit of stubborn weight around their waistline that's just perhaps, you know, never disappearing. And people think, oh, you know, if I eat fruit, it's healthy, it's great for me. But you know, you've got to remember it's high in fructose, and any food, if you overindulge, is gonna you know, play havoc with your metabolism and your system. So it's very important that you have you know, protein, fats and carbs all in one meal. It's very easy to do. So if you're having vegetables, so you might have cold veg with some hummus dip, you've got your protein, fats and carbs all in one go. If you're having some fruit, you know, you just make sure that you've got a handful of nuts or seeds or something like that, which has protein in and fats, and obviously the fruit has the carbs and the fibre, so it lowers it down. You're lowering the GI and you're balancing everything out. Just remember that vegetables are absolutely packed with fibre, and getting more vegetables in your diet is much more important than actually getting more fruit in your diet. Okay, the vegetables are absolute key, and why I want you to try and have 3 vegetables with at least 3 meals a day. So we can see this in this graphical representation. So if you look at the 50 grams of glucose, which is the purple line, this is a spike in blood sugar. So it has a spike in blood sugar, and then it will take, you know, around about an hour or just over an hour to come back down to below normal. Okay, if we add just 14 grams of fibre with the 50 grams of glucose, it's much more balanced. You don't get this massive spike. Okay, so it really does sort of balance the blood sugars out, and plays a significant part in reducing blood sugar. So remember, if we're reducing blood sugar spikes, we're reducing fat storage. Okay. So we're looking again at people's sort of conception about healthy eating, and a lot of people think that rice cakes are really good. Okay, now rice cakes have 0 fat. They are very low in calories. So if you're on a low fat calorie controlled diet, you'd be eating these by the bucket load. And if you probably Weight Watchers point system, you could probably eat about 20 packs a day. All right. The truth of it is that they are converted to sugar really quickly. Okay, they have a very high glycemic index, and so, you know, although low in calories and low in fat, they will cause you to have a massive insulin release, and therefore stored body fat, because your body just can't cope with it. So, you know, if you were going to eat rice cakes, you'd have to have protein and fibre with it to slow down the release. But, you know, I think this is key really, is your understanding that you must balance your macronutrients out. So let's have a look at you know, what the general population's blood sugar is doing. Basically, what we've got is we've got to understand that the food we eat elicits a different metabolic and hormone response on the body. Okay, so eating simple carbohydrates or sugar, or you know, rice cakes on their own or fruit on their own, can result in a rapid surge of blood sugar levels. Okay, so, you know, a nice sugary cornflake breakfast, what that happens then is that the pancreas will release insulin to bring the blood sugar down. So insulin is a hormone. The pancreas releases that hormone to bring blood sugar back down to its normal level. Okay, now the majority of the time insulin does this job really well, and so what you end up with is low blood sugar. Okay, so if this is normal, yeah, the blue one's normal, the red one is your spikes and troughs, it comes low, so it comes below. What happens then is you obviously have cravings because you're at this low blood sugar level, and the pancreas will release another hormone which is called glucagon. So glucagon then instructs your body to take excess fat and convert it back to blood sugar for fuel in the body. So this again results in a rapid rise in blood sugar levels, and then excess sugar gets stored in the liver and in the muscle cells, which we mentioned before. Okay, now because you keep getting these spikes and troughs, when these fuel tanks, so your muscles and your liver, are full, then your body will then store the excess as fat. So it can't cope with these all the time, and so, you know, you have what we call the insulin, we call a fat storage hormone, because it's spiking, making your blood sugar spike and trough so much that you actually get too much sugar in the system, and so your body will store it as fat. Okay, so, you know, I think of this as you know, your mid-afternoon energy slump, and you often reach for a coffee or maybe a chocolate bar to keep you going. So this cycle literally goes on and on and on, and you end up with a perpetual sugar craving eating cycle, which leads to insulin resistance and diabetes. Okay, so generally your blood sugar concentration is between 3.6 and 5.8, which is called, and it's measured in millimoles. Okay, so millimoles per litre. Now the body will naturally regulate to try and stay at that, but obviously when you're eating high sugar, as I've just demonstrated, you know, you get massive surges of of insulin and glucagon to try and kind of balance it all out. So let's look at that and its effect. So basically, on average, we're eating around about, well, it says 160 pounds of sugar each year, but that was actually back in 1996. We're eating way over 200 pounds of sugar each year now, and as I mentioned, this is causing obesity because of fat storage. It's causing diabetes because of insulin resistance, which we're going to go into now. But if you just look at that top picture, the amount of sugar that is in Coca-Cola, one of the most popular soft drinks, you'll see why the nation is where we are now, because we're feasting on Coca-Cola, chocolate bars, and then the foods that we didn't think were high in sugar, like all the so-called healthy cereals that are just jam-packed full of sugar. Okay. So, what is insulin resistance? Now, I mentioned insulin resistance a moment ago. Basically, insulin sensitivity, describes your body's hormonal responsiveness to the glucose and your ability to metabolize that glucose. So when this function is impaired, that's what we call insulin resistance or metabolic syndrome. So when your body is unable to react to the insulin that's in your system. So it's kind of like insulin resistance it's as if you have locks on your door to your cells. Yeah. So insulin cannot signal your cells to uptake the glucose, and then you get all this extra insulin around your body, which then gets stored as fat. So basically, when insulin becomes less effective, so basically the insulin then becomes less effective at lowering your blood sugar levels. So you need to, which obviously leads then to diabetes and the need to inject insulin. But consequently what happens is the pancreas produces and releases an abnormally high level of insulin in order to process glucose and regulate your blood sugar, and ultimately you get more fat storage, but also fat in your bloodstream. So you become diabetic, and you also get high blood cholesterol and triglycerides in your blood. So it goes from bad to worse, really. And this is all because we are eating the wrong foods and our blood sugars are too high. So we eat food, we make insulin, our cells resist the insulin, our sugar stores as fat, we feel hungry and tired, we eat food, and it just goes on and on and on, and we pile on the weight. So you can see here that this is kind of like your insulin receptors. Like I say, they're like having locks, so they're not letting the insulin in at all. So they're not signaling to the cells, come and take the glucose, and it kind of just all just carries on around your body and doesn't get utilized by the cells at all. So I've got a couple of graphs here that kind of demonstrate what goes on. These are what we call glucose tolerance tests. So of a healthy person, you can see here that at no time during the 6 hours does the blood sugar fall much below the fasting level. Now the fasting level is around about 4. It's called the fasting level because it's what your blood sugar will be when you wake. Okay, so we call it a fast because you've not eaten because you've been sleeping. So this is about 4 millimoles per litre. Now this will fluctuate throughout the day. Okay, and glucose are usually lowest in the morning, so that's why we kind of call it the fasting level, and that's what everything goes against. Yeah, but it will rise. Obviously, it's going to rise after meals for an hour or two by about 2 to 3 millimoles. So you can see here that we've eaten a little bit of food. It's gone from 4 to 7, so it's gone up 3 millimoles, and then it's come back down to 4 within the hour, which is ideal. So this is a healthy person. That's a healthy graph representing that it just goes up 3, down 3 within an hour of eating, back to normal. So really, really good normal blood sugar curves, which is the ideal. Now if we look at the curves of a reactive hypoglycemic, what we've got here is we've got a rapid absorption and rise in blood sugar, and then that's followed by a low point within, so this real low blood sugar here after 4 hours, and it takes 6 hours before it's recovering. So it's kind of a massive spike with a big crash, and this is probably what happens to a lot of people, because you know, you're getting this crash and feeling hungry, and then you're going to get a massive spike again. So this is similar to what a lot of people are doing generally through that in terms, because of what they're eating. Okay, so you know, you get a bit grumpy, have sugar cravings, go for chocolate or caffeine hit, get a massive spike, get a massive slump, and not really leading the kind of life that we want to. And this leads into, of course, the pre-diabetic curve. Now, pre-diabetic is where you get a steep rise in blood sugar with a real slow return to normal level. So it's kind of sluggish pre-diabetic insulin response. So it's not, you know, it's taking far too long to get back to this normal, and also the spike is like up to 7, you know, so they're getting such a rise and then a slow return. So it's proving that the insulin is not working correctly. Now the diabetic curve, you can see that to start off with it's already higher, and you know, it's going up, but it's never really coming down again. So what happens is you have a real high fasting level, so high blood sugar level after sleeping, and then there's insufficient insulin response to normalize blood sugar levels. So you know, when you're subjecting yourself to high levels of insulin over an extended period of time, you become insulin resistant. So essentially your cells are no longer as sensitive to the effects of insulin, or to be more exact, the wrong cells stay sensitive to insulin, which are your fat cells, and the right cells become resistant, which is your lean tissue, you know, like muscle. So the lean tissue isn't taking them up, so it's the fuel tank is just not accepting any, even if it's empty, and so you're getting more insulin in the system. Hopefully that makes sense to you, because once you start to become insulin resistant, your body, you know, it pumps even more insulin into the system to keep blood sugar levels, you know, try and keep blood sugar levels within safe zone, and that's why diabetics pump their body or inject their body with insulin. But this obviously just it keeps you in a perpetual hormone state or hormonal state geared to fat storage. So you know, type 2 diabetes, you know, lack of exercise and the wrong type of foods are generally the main culprit, but yet we don't treat them like that. We give them drugs and inject them, which is kind of a little bit infuriating. So insulin isn't just a storage hormone, it reacts with the fat cells to ensure that no fatty acids are released in the bloodstream, so you know, the fat is kind of locked in for good. Alright? So if you're living in an insulin resistive state, even small amounts of the wrong food can spike your insulin and lock in fat. Even if you're not overeating, you're you know, what happens is that you're striving to rebalance all the time, and you know, you just remain insulin sensitive. So basically, diabetes then is failure of blood sugar regulation. Okay, so is this you? Now I'm not saying that that you're diabetic, but it's important to know some of the signs of high blood sugar levels and insulin resistance. Basically, if you've got sugar cravings, weight gain, particularly around the abdominal area and love handle area, then you know, you could be having difficulty balancing your blood sugar levels. So there'll be a hormonal imbalance between your insulin and glucagon. You will have an increased, if this is you will have increased triglycerides, and so that's obviously risk of heart disease, coronary heart disease. You know, generally you'll have inflammation, which means that you might have aches and pains you might feel fatigue after meals, have a real sort of problem losing weight, and perhaps you might even have cravings and feel constantly hungry because you're not satisfying, the food is not satisfying you, and generally have trouble with fatigue and obviously fat storage. Now what happens when we are insulin resistant, as I said, is we've got the risk of diabetes and also high glycerides, triglycerides, and what can happen is metabolic syndrome X. So as awful as this looks, it's amazing how many people do have this now. And you know, this is basically when it comes to when we're talking about insulin and sensitivity and insulin resistance, you're always on a continuum of how insulin sensitive you are, right? Always, and what tissues are most effective at absorbing glucose. Now, managing the continuum is fine balance between the type of food you eat, obviously what we've discussed, and when you eat it. That's why I've asked you to kind of balance your every meal and balance those meals throughout the day at this moment in time, at this stage. I do other nutritional stuff. I do other stuff where I do carb cycling and intermittent fasting and things like that. But right now, for you, this is what we need to do. We need to regulate your blood sugars. Is source number one. Okay, we need to get your body working as in a nice healthy state and working at an optimal level. Now, so the food you eat, when you eat it, and how much activity you get in generally through the day is so important to getting your blood sugar balanced and avoiding storing fat like this gentleman here. It plays such a huge role in managing weight and body fat. I really, I can't express that enough. Excuse me. When we have insulin resistance, you're going to get hardening of the arteries, type 2 diabetes, excessive fat storage. You're going to, it really puts a lot of danger on your organs, particularly the heart, and this is all because of what we're eating. In women, we tend to see more kind of fat deposits around the love handle area, what we call the muffin top. So it's kind of love handles and lower belly. So muffin top around the top of your jeans. If this is a stubborn area that you have, it is simply blood sugars. Once you get your blood sugars under control, you will see inches just disappear from this area. I guarantee it. So just a little summary then. Hypoglycemia, low blood sugar, can develop into insulin resistance. Insulin resistance can develop into type 2 diabetes, which causes syndrome X, and that causes coronary heart disease. Okay, so all because of low blood sugar and insulin resistance. So balancing blood sugars can prevent all these things, and so it's very, very, very important. So what can we do about it? Obviously, we want to exercise a little bit more. Now I know that coming from a trainer background, then it's inevitable that I would say that, but research on exercise and insulin sensitivity found in the International Journal of Sports Medicine, they basically found that in both insulin sensitive and insulin resistant populations, insulin sensitivity was increased up to 16 hours after a single bout, as well as eliciting a multitude of adaptations in glucose, metabolism and transport. So it really it does help balance your blood sugars. It's just one of the health options, or the health benefits I should say, of exercise. So exercise regularly is obviously number one, instead of being sat on your backside all day. And then protein. We want to add protein into our meal, or up our protein. So protein basically, is first and foremost helps the stimulation of glucagon. And glucagon, as we know, it promotes glucagon is given out to raise your blood sugars again. Okay, so Insulin is when, obviously, when your blood sugars are high, to lower it, and glucagon gets it into that nice steady balance. So we need to add protein into our diets, and this kind of some people find it hard to get enough protein in their diet. What you've got to remember is glucagon works in opposite is opposite to insulin. Okay, so low blood sugar will promote glucagon release. It goes to our fat stores, asks the body to convert it back to sugar, so our body becomes a fat burning machine. I'll just go back to that slide actually. So what happens is that it goes to our fat stores, asks our body to convert back to sugar, so our body becomes a fat burning machine rather than a fat storing machine. Yeah, but you have to eat regularly, otherwise you will get a crash. At this moment in time, this is what I want you to do. So you will eat regularly, and you will have a nice balance of proteins, fats and carbs with everything. So you're going to add protein to your carb meals, which are vegetables and fruits. Protein obviously keeps you fuller for longer and will suppress your appetite as well. So it will reduce cravings. Protein reduces cravings. Now, I know for some clients they find it difficult to get protein perhaps in their snacks or for their breakfast. Sometimes they find it difficult, and so there is a good protein that we supply called Cineprotein. This is dairy-free, wheat-free, yeast-free. There's nothing in it. And basically this will help you, just like I've just said, will help you reduce cravings, balance your blood sugar levels, increase energy levels. And if you take this first thing in the morning as a breakfast with some fruit and some cinnamon, you've got a really good meal. Cinnamon is fantastic. If you add 2 to 3 teaspoons of cinnamon to your diet per day, numerous studies have found that will actually help reduce blood glucose post meals. So this is great. It will reduce that fasting insulin level. When we were talking about what your blood sugar level is when you get up in the morning, it's around 4. So if it's high, having 2 to 3 teaspoons of cinnamon in your diet will actually reduce that fasting. So you'll start off blood sugar, and it will speed up gastric emptying and counteract sleep deprivation induced insulin resistance. Yeah, so sometimes if we find it hard to sleep, you'll boost your insulin, and so this will cinnamon will actually will counteract that. So it's a fantastic supplement that you can just add in. So just get ground cinnamon, add it into your protein drink, and then some blueberries or some mixed berries or maybe half a banana or something like that, because remember the protein will bring down the GI of the banana, and it's a fantastic shake. So that's a good option for you if you find it difficult to get enough protein in your diet. Also, you want to get your proteins obviously from vegetable sources: beans, legumes, lentils, quinoa, chickpeas, spirulina, and you want to obviously eat, if you're not vegetarian, you want to be eating a lot of skinless chicken, turkey, and fish in an abundance. Okay. So fat's really, really important because they buffer the speed of release of carbs into the bloodstream. So this will mean, basically that just means that your blood sugar levels will stabilize. Okay, so fats are really, really good at stabilizing blood sugar levels. What we must remember, because again, we think about fat, low fat diets is the way forward. Well, what you've got to remember is every hormone is driven by fat. And one of my if you remember, number 2 on my list of mindset and then balancing your hormones is number 2. So what we need to do is balance your hormones. So if every hormone is driven by fat, we need to supply the body with what its nutrient source. Okay, every cell membrane is fat, so we need to boost our fat loss by increasing the amount of fat that we eat, but they've got to be good fats, of course. Yeah, so nuts, seeds, avocado. We also want to be eating. So what you want to do is make sure that you kind of understand that it's omega-6 and omega-3. Now, this is what you're after. Now, omega-6 you don't need in huge quantities, you'll get enough of it, but omega-3 you do. You cannot get enough omega-3 generally just by having oily fish once a week and maybe a couple of nuts, you know, for 3 snacks. The importance of omega-3 is that it helps keep the blood thin, okay, so it prevents blockages and clots. It will help lower your blood pressure, and it also decreases inflammation. Alright, so this is really important, especially when we realise that all diseases sort of manifest in inflammation. So yeah, so omega-6 are really important. They'll improve nerve and immune function, and sort of help the insulin work to control blood pressure. Omega-3, as you've probably heard, is amazing for brain function, okay, learning ability, coordination and mood, but it is amazing for balancing your blood pressure, and it releases a hormone that tells your brain to stop eating, okay, so it actually prevents you from overeating. It slows down the absorption of food, so it slows the conversion of carbohydrate into glucose, therefore stabilising your blood sugars, and yeah, it's an amazing product. So you want to be making sure that you have virgin olive oil cold on your vegetables and salads. You have cook in coconut oil. You increase your nuts, your seeds, your avocados, obviously. So all your healthy fats you want to up, okay? But I think for all of us, that every single person alive should be having omega-3 supplement without a question, okay? Because you just can't get the amount of omega-3 you need in your general diet. When you think about it, reducing food cravings, balancing your blood sugars, improving your memory concentration, then there are three reasons why you should be having it anyway. But when you look at the fact that omega-3 actually turns on the fat burning gene and turns off the fat storing gene, you realise how important it is for fat loss. I mean, this is like having a natural, organic, fat reducing pill, okay? It is just phenomenal. And you obviously can buy them anywhere, but if you're having cod liver oil, you want to replace it for omega-3 straight away, because cod, they're like scavenger fish, and you're taking the oil from the liver, which is the most toxic and potent organ in the body, so it actually won't serve you any well at all. You want to be having omega-3, and you want to be making sure that the omega-3 is taken from the skin of the fish and not the organs. It also has to have a high EPA value. So the reason I choose Nature's Sunshine is because they are completely organic. You know that what you get, what it says, you're actually going to absorb what it says you're going to be taking. You could go to any kind of retailer, and most of them, you know, we're talking mainstream retailers, and they are synthetic, so you're not actually going to get what you think you're getting, and you're just wasting your money. You need to get a really good organic source, and that's, you know, Nature's Sunshine are second to none. They are the absolute gold standard in supplements. And you know, there are some supplements that are absolutely essential to optimum health. You can't get the sort of nutrients we once could from food, and I'm going to talk all about that in our micronutrients video next week. But for the first thing you want to be thinking about is taking omega-3, and you'd start this after your 10-day cleanse. Now, what you've got to think if you're trying to lose weight is that you want to be having, your body needs 1 gram for every percent body fat. So, you know, that would be, if you've got an average body fat percentage of around 30, that would be 30 capsules. So you know, you'd be done through this bottle in 2 days, which is obviously not going to happen. So you need to make sure that you have your oils, your coconut oils, your nuts, your seeds, your avocados, but then you need, and your oily fish, and then you need your omegas on top. If you are vegan and don't want omega-3, then go for flaxseed oil. Okay, not quite as effective, but it's still better than not taking anything at all. and you want to be taking like 9 to 12 tablets a day to lose weight initially, to help you lose weight, to get it into the system and get it working. For maintenance, you're looking at kind of 4 to 6 tablets a day, and to help you with weight loss, you want 9 to 12. So this is one thing that I urge, all of you to take. If you want to get the Nature Sunshine, which in my opinion is the best by far, then there'll be a link to it at the end of this video. Okay. So in summary then, what we have is the macronutrients. We need to go away from eating so many carbs and low fat and low protein, and go more to a balanced 40% carbs, 30% fat, 30% protein. Carbs coming from fruit and vegetables, fats coming from your good oils, which we've just explained, and protein coming from your good protein sources, vegetable proteins, and also supplement with a protein drink if you need to, if your protein sources are a little bit low. Especially if you're vegetarian or vegan, you will want to have a protein supplement without a shadow of a doubt to get the protein quantity up. So what you're looking to do is come away from having these insulin spikes. Okay, so 3 to 5 teaspoons of sugar are generally what our body can cope with. And I think I see a lot of people that say, oh well, I have a jacket potato for lunch because that kind of fills me up and keeps me going, and it's got loads of fibre in the skin. Well, let me tell you this, a jacket potato, okay, let's just talk about an average jacket potato, so 100 grams, is equivalent to 20 teaspoons of sugar. So in terms of balancing blood sugar and for a healthy weight loss lunch, a jacket potato really does suck. Okay, so you can, yes, potatoes, sometimes we like them, but you just have sweet potato instead, which has a much lower GI. But 20 teaspoons of sugar in an average jacket potato. And when you think some people putting baked beans on their jacket potato, just imagine what that's doing to their blood sugar levels. So to sum up, insulin is your fat storage hormone, glucagon works in the opposite direction, is your fat mobilizer. We want to boost glucagon by balancing blood sugars and having more protein in our diet. And we want to reduce insulin spikes by balancing every single meal we have with the desired macronutrient ratio. So next steps, guys, what I want you to do is I want you to go over to my nutrition site, so www.elevatenutrition.co.uk, and on there you'll see a lifestyle analysis. Now what we're going to do is talk through your next stage of your nutrition protocol. So you'll be sticking with the nutritional plan, but there might be a key system in your body that is working inefficiently. Okay, we have several body systems, and we need to make sure that each link in that chain is working how it should. Okay, because basically your body is just a chain, and it's only as strong as the weakest link. And if we have one of those links that's not quite working properly, and what I'm talking about is your digestive health, your immune system, your cardiovascular health, your respiratory system, all this stuff needs to be firing up on all cylinders. And so what we're going to do is take you about 3 minutes. You go onto that website, elevatenutrition.co.uk, you'll fill out the free lifestyle analysis, and then when you've completed it, there's four little questions at the bottom of the table, and one says send your results to Elevate. And that's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you just to click that button, and then your results will come to me, and then that will be phenomenally good before we talk about micronutrients. The other thing I want you to do is make sure that you join our members only area. That's on elevatefitness.co.uk, and you'll see a group there which is 28-day fat furnace, and I'd love you to join it. Just share your thoughts and your progress on the forum, and obviously you will get the full access to the videos and our blog pages as we post them. So until then, guys, I just want you to remain organised, keep on with your program, and you know, let's crack on, right? We must get you to do that lifestyle analysis, because what you've got to remember is that each and every one of you is completely different, and your nutrition will have to be tweaked slightly in order that you don't hit plateaus and your weight loss just continues. Okay, so it's really important you do that before next session. Okay guys, thanks for listening. Bye bye.